Welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a deep dive into the life of Bruce Lee.
Yay, Bruce Lee.
I mean, everyone knows Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
Martial arts legend. But
Right.
what we're going to see in this deep dive is that there was so much more to this guy
Oh, yeah,
than just those incredible fight scenes.
definitely.
He was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of the 20th century.
That's right.
And it wasn't just because of how he could, kick really high or anything like that.
Yeah, it goes way beyond the martial arts
Yeah.
and the acting. Really, what's interesting is how he built these connections around the world
Yeah.
and broke barriers. He was all about pushing boundaries.
That's a great point. So let's rewind. Let's go all the way back
Right.
to Bruce Lee's early days
All right.
in Hong Kong.
Yep.
And it wasn't all, fame and fortune at the beginning, right?
No, definitely not.
There's this story about a gang attack
Right.
when he was a teenager. And this really became a turning point
Huge turning point.
in his life.
Yeah. And it really fueled his dedication to self-defense.
Yeah.
And that's where his philosophy, at least in martial arts, starts to emerge.
Okay.
He didn't just learn existing martial arts, he started to question them.
Oh, interesting.
He saw their limitations, and actually this theme of questioning the status quo we're going to see pop up
Oh, yeah.
again and again in his life.
Got it. So, okay, let's talk about Jeet Kune Do.
All right.
He created his own martial art
That's right.
because he felt that the traditional styles weren't practical enough for
Mhm.
real-world situations.
And it says a lot about his personality.
Mhm.
He wasn't afraid to challenge conventions.
Yeah,
He really forged his own path. And imagine having that level of conviction,
that
right,
was amazing.
to break away from the norm. That's Bruce Lee.
All right, so now let's talk about his acting career because, he had big dreams,
He did.
but Hollywood wasn't exactly welcoming.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Asian stereotypes were rampant in the film industry back then, and he faced constant rejection.
Yeah, I can
He
imagine.
was often passed over for roles simply because of his ethnicity.
It's hard to believe, but it was a different time.
It was a very different time.
But despite all that, he didn't give up on his acting aspirations.
Absolutely not.
So he didn't let these setbacks define him.
Yep.
He started landing roles in Hong Kong films,
Right.
building his experience there,
Yeah.
and some of his early films there, The Big Boss,
Yeah, the big boss. Fists of Fury.
Fists of Fury.
And then, showing the progression of his career, he made Way of the Dragon.
Way of the Dragon.
And not only did he star in this movie, but he wrote it, directed it, and choreographed the fight scenes.
Wow.
He was a multi-talented force.
So here's where I think this bridging cultures theme
Yeah.
really comes in strong because his films, his philosophy, his very presence, I think helped break down barriers between the East and West.
Yeah. I mean, he brought martial arts into the mainstream in a way that it hadn't been before.
Right.
And it was really showcasing its beauty, its discipline to a global audience.
It's hard to imagine, what the world was like back then. I mean, now martial arts is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's so ubiquitous. But he was really, a pioneer in bringing that to people.
Yeah. And he challenged stereotypes. I mean, he showed the power of Asian representation in media.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something else. And then tragically,
Yeah.
his life was cut short
Yeah.
at the young age of 32.
32. It's, people were in shock.
Yeah, completely.
At the time.
Totally. I mean, it's such a sense of loss
Yeah.
when he passed away. It's just incredible to think what he accomplished
Yeah.
in such a short amount of time. But his impact continues to resonate decades later.
Decades later. So, okay. We've explored his journey, but what can we, sitting here listening to this, what can we learn from him?
I think there are two major takeaways. One, pursue your own style.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to break away from convention.
Yeah.
Just like Bruce Lee did with martial arts.
Okay.
So think about it. What are you passionate about
Yeah.
that maybe needs a fresh approach, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Almost like he was doing Jeet Kune Do, but with his whole life in a way.
Exactly.
Okay. So pursue your own style. And what's the second big takeaway?
Adapt into different mediums.
Okay.
So Bruce Lee didn't limit himself, right?
Yeah.
Martial artist, actor, philosopher, director, right?
Right.
And it encourages us to explore our own diverse interests
Yeah.
and talents.
So he was almost like a Renaissance man in a way.
Totally.
It's like all these different things coming together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So pursue your own style and adapt into different mediums.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So there you have it. A deep dive into the incredible life of Bruce Lee.
He was much more than a martial artist.
Right.
He was a pioneer, a visionary, and a bridge between cultures.
Yeah, that's a great point. A bridge between cultures. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive on Bruce Lee.
So his Hong Kong films were doing really well,
Yeah.
especially Way of the Dragon. And that's when Hollywood finally started taking notice
Okay.
and offered him the lead role in Enter the Dragon.
That's the one, right? I mean, that's the film.
That's the one.
That really made him a global superstar.
Exactly, as a game changer.
Yeah,
Not just for Bruce Lee's career,
right.
but for martial arts cinema
As a whole.
as a whole.
Yeah.
It broke box office records and introduced him to a massive international audience.
But tragically, he died just a few weeks before the film's release.
Yeah, it was a devastating loss. And it's impossible to know what else he could have accomplished if he'd lived longer.
Yeah.
But even in his short life, he left an incredible legacy.
You know, it's amazing to me listening to all this how his life really mirrors his Jeet Kune Do philosophy.
Yeah.
In so many ways. He adapted, he improvised, he created his own path to success.
That's a great observation. It's something we can all learn from.
Yeah.
His journey reminds us that we don't have to be limited by circumstances or societal expectations.
It's really inspiring.
We can create our own opportunities, challenge the status quo, and achieve incredible things if we are willing to adapt.
Okay, so how can we apply this Jeet Kune Do philosophy to our own lives?
Well, first it's about cultivating that mindset of being present, aware, and open to new possibilities.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to question the way things have always been done.
Be a little less rigid, a little more like water.
Exactly. Be willing to experiment, try new approaches, and adapt to those ever-changing circumstances around you.
What are some practical ways that we can do that?
Absolutely. Think about a challenge you're facing right now in your personal life or at work.
Okay.
Instead of getting stuck in those same old patterns of thinking, take a step back.
Okay.
Look at the situation from a different perspective.
So if I'm feeling overwhelmed with a project at work, instead of panicking or procrastinating,
Right.
I should try to approach it with a fresh perspective.
Exactly.
Maybe break it down into smaller steps or seek out new resources.
Yeah, be resourceful, adaptable, and not be afraid to ask for help. Or change your approach if something isn't working.
It's like that intercepting fist concept.
Yes.
It's not just about blocking an attack, it's about being able to adapt and respond.
to any challenge.
Like any challenge.
You got it. And remember, Bruce Lee emphasized that Jeet Kune Do is not just about fighting.
Right.
It's a philosophy for life.
Yeah.
It's about self-discovery, personal growth, and constantly striving to be the best version of yourself.
This is so inspiring. It's like Bruce Lee is giving us a roadmap for navigating life's challenges and achieving our goals.
He certainly provides a powerful framework for thinking about how we approach challenges and pursue our passions.
Speaking of passion, it's clear that Bruce Lee was incredibly passionate about martial arts. Filmmaking, philosophy, I mean, everything he did.
Everything.
Do you think that passion was a key ingredient to his success?
Absolutely. His passion fueled his drive, his determination, his creativity. It allowed him to overcome obstacles,
Yeah.
to push through rejection, and to ultimately achieve his dreams.
So it's not just about having a dream, it's about having that fire in your belly
Yes.
that propels you forward.
That passion.
Yeah, when things get tough.
And that passion doesn't have to be limited to just one specific thing.
Right.
Bruce Lee was a martial artist, actor, philosopher, writer, director. He embraced his diverse interests and talents.
So maybe we shouldn't be afraid to explore different interests
Well-
and to embrace our own unique blend of talent.
Exactly.
Okay, it's like his example is telling us it's okay to be multifaceted, to be curious, to constantly seek out new ways to grow and express ourselves.
Exactly. Don't limit yourself to one narrow definition of who you are or what you can achieve.
Yeah.
Embrace your individuality. Explore your passions. Be open to new possibilities.
You know, this is making me think about how Bruce Lee was often described as a bridge builder.
Yes.
He connected East and West, he connected different martial arts styles, and he connected his physical practice with his philosophical beliefs.
That's a brilliant insight. Bruce Lee was all about breaking down those barriers and connecting seemingly different ideas and concepts.
And that's something we can all strive for in our own lives.
Absolutely.
We can build bridges between different cultures, different disciplines, and even different parts of ourselves.
You know, this idea of bridging makes me think about Bruce Lee's emphasis on balance.
Okay.
In Jeet Kune Do, it's not just about being strong or fast. It's about finding balance in your movements, in your techniques, and in your approach to life.
So it's not about going to extremes.
So,
It's about finding that sweet spot where everything works in harmony.
precisely. And that balance is essential for achieving both physical and mental well-being.
So it's like Bruce Lee's philosophy is giving us a blueprint for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He encourages us to be adaptable, to be passionate, to be balanced, and to constantly strive for growth and self-improvement.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I'm really starting to appreciate the depth and complexity of Bruce Lee's legacy.
It goes so deep.
It's so much more than just martial arts or action movies.
It's a philosophy for life,
Mhm.
a way of approaching challenges, and a reminder that we all have the potential to achieve incredible things if we're willing to push boundaries and be true to ourselves.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, you mentioned earlier that Bruce Lee revolutionized martial arts cinema. Let's dive into that aspect of his legacy next. How did he change the game?
Before Bruce Lee, martial arts films, especially in the West, were often viewed as kind of a niche genre.
Yeah.
They relied on these exaggerated movements and predictable storylines.
Right.
And then Bruce Lee comes along and he brings this whole new level of authenticity
Okay.
and intensity to the screen.
I can imagine, because you were saying earlier, like how he wanted his fighting style to be so practical
Ex-
and adaptable. I bet that translated to his films.
Absolutely.
Right.
He insisted on using real martial arts techniques
Wow.
and showcasing the speed and power of these movements
Right.
in a way that was believable and captivating.
Yeah. So he wasn't just like going through the motions for the camera, It was like he was bringing his philosophy
Exactly.
back to life.
He was bringing Jeet Kune Do to life on the screen.
That's incredible. And, it wasn't just the fight choreography itself.
Right.
It was his intensity, his charisma, the emotional depth that he brought to his characters.
Yes.
You really felt like you were watching a master at work.
Totally. Someone who is completely dedicated to his craft.
I've heard people describe his fight scenes almost like a form of dance,
Yeah.
like this blend of athleticism and artistry.
It's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
There was a fluidity and a grace to his movements,
Right.
even in the midst of this intense combat.
Yeah.
And he was so precise, so in control, it was mesmerizing.
And let's not forget those iconic fighting sounds,
Oh, yeah.
like the kai shouts, the whooshes of his strikes.
Whoosh, yeah. It really added to the impact of those scenes.
They heightened that sensory experience.
Totally.
So you were really feeling the power and the
You
speed,
felt it.
yeah, of every move. So he was elevating the action. But you also said that he brought this philosophical depth to his films.
Right. His movies weren't just mindless action flicks.
Okay.
They explored these themes of self-discovery, cultural identity, the struggle for justice.
Wow.
And he often portrayed characters who were facing adversity
Right.
and who had to overcome these obstacles to achieve their goals.
Sounds like he was using his films as a platform
Yeah.
to share his personal philosophy.
Exactly. He saw film as this powerful medium for conveying his ideas about self-improvement, resilience, the importance of standing up for what you believe in.
And that message resonated with people, across cultures. His films became global sensations.
Absolutely.
They sparked this worldwide interest in martial arts. How many people do you think started training?
Countless people.
Because of him.
Yeah. Think about the impact. Before Bruce Lee, martial arts were often seen as something foreign or exotic.
Yeah.
He helped to bring martial arts into the mainstream,
Right.
making it accessible to a wider audience,
Totally.
showcasing its beauty and its power.
And he paved the way for, a whole new generation of martial arts movie stars too, right?
Absolutely. Jackie Chan, Jet
Yeah.
Li,
Yeah.
they all owe a debt of gratitude to Bruce Lee.
So his influence on cinema is undeniable.
Yeah.
But what about his impact on martial arts itself? How did he change the way people viewed and practiced martial arts?
Well, remember how he questioned those traditional styles?
Yeah.
And he created Jeet Kune Do because he wanted something more practical
Right.
and adaptable.
Yeah.
That questioning spirit really challenged the martial arts establishment,
Oh, wow.
and it encouraged people to think differently about how they trained.
So he was pushing for evolution
Yeah.
and innovation,
Oh, really?
not just in his own practice,
Right.
but in the martial arts world as a whole.
As a whole.
He wasn't afraid to break with tradition if he felt it was holding people back.
No.
He wanted people to find what worked best for them,
Exactly.
be open to new ideas, constantly strive for improvement.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's very Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah. Constantly striving, always pushing yourself to grow and evolve.
That's it.
I think that's the biggest lesson we can take away.
I think so, too.
from his life and legacy is not just about learning martial arts, it's about applying those principles of self-awareness,
Right.
discipline,
Yeah.
continuous improvement to all aspects of our life.
To everything. It's about finding your own path, your own way of expressing yourself,
Right.
and constantly striving to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the incredible world of Bruce Lee, what's that one takeaway, that one core message that you hope our listeners will walk away with?
I think it's this. We all have the potential for greatness within us.
Okay.
We may not all be martial arts masters
Right.
or movie stars, but we all have that capacity to learn,
Yeah.
to grow, to make a positive impact on the world.
We all have our own unique gifts and talents.
Absolutely.
And like Bruce Lee, we can use them to break down barriers, to challenge limitations, and to leave our mark on the world.
Yeah, beautifully said. It's about embracing our individuality, pursuing our passions with unwavering commitment, and never giving up on our dreams.
I love it. Well, this has been an incredibly inspiring deep dive into the life and legacy of Bruce Lee.
It has.
He was so much more than just a martial artist. He was a philosopher, an
Yeah.
artist, a cultural icon,
A visionary.
a true visionary.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you gained a deeper appreciation for the man behind the legend
I hope so.
and the enduring impact he continues to have on the world.
It's incredible.
And until next time, remember Bruce Lee's words. Be water, my friend.
Be adaptable, be fluid, and never start flowing towards your full potential.